Hey guys, my name's Chris and this is Financial Fitness, and I'm back with Joe Brown, and we're going to discuss and talk about some of the foods that we eat because it's really interesting how the things I do are not like the things he does. He's really strict in his diet, and I'm kind of an opportunist.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we saying that I thought should be on camera? I turned the camera off and we started talking and missed the best video ever.
Yeah, so the brain thing. So we were talking about how when you start to get in shape, things start to light up and you start to recognize things and recognize patterns and you feel smarter, and like then when you look at how to get your finances in order and investing and all of that, things start to open up. And the reason for that is like quite literally, this is going to sound really bad, but the heavier you are, the more fat you are, the smaller your brain is. And this is 100% proven by tons of studies. There's a doctor, Dr. Daniel Amen. He is the leading brain scientist. He has done hundreds of thousands of scans on people's brains, and he's, I'm pretty sure he was the guy that discovered the thing with the NFL, the concussion thing with the NFL, the CT, whatever it is, the concussion thing. Anyway, so he's done all the brain scans on everybody and helps people, fix their brain conditions, and a lot of mental conditions are actually brain injuries, and he finds out all about that. But one thing that he's noticed is the heavier people are, the smaller their brain is. And the reason for that is because your heart and your organs and your vital systems are having to support an extra 20 pounds or 30 pounds or 50 pounds of literally dead weight of just fat cells and keep them alive. And so all of those resources, all that glycogen, all of the glucose, all of the oxygen, everything is being diverted away from the systems that your primary systems, especially your brain, and keeping all this stuff alive that you really shouldn't even have. And every time when people lose weight, the weight and size of their brain grows.
That's
the weight and size of the brain grows.
This is really interesting.
Yeah, and so as you lose weight and get in shape, that's why things start coming alive. That's why things start opening up. That's why you feel less tired. You feel more focused. You feel more energy. You're starting to learn things better because you quite literally are smarter. You have a bigger brain and more energy available to your brain to do those mental tasks.
If you've got, a lot of people have, this much fat all over them.
Yeah.
They're carrying, and I was getting there too. We all were. And that messes up your hormones. Mm-hmm. It's a snowball thing.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for those people, and it's easy to hack on fat people, but the reality is their body is not functioning properly.
Yeah.
And their hormones are messed up because they've got all this extra weight. In men, the estrogen level goes way up.
Yeah.
And it's a snowball effect. Yeah. And if you can shut that stuff off and really grit your teeth, I know it took you a couple weeks to really get off the sugar.
Yeah, that addiction, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the same way for me. I was addicted to ice cream so bad I couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
And so you really could be dumb and fat and not know it.
Well, yeah,
and the name of this video, are you dumb and fat?
Right, exactly. And the thing is, like you said, I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm not bagging on anybody. I was the biggest culprit, right? Like, I was 230 pounds. I'm 5'10", should not have been 230 pounds, had literally 50 pounds of fat, potentially more because I gained muscle as I dropped weight. And so the amount of fat that I had could have been even more than 50 pounds worth. And so I was, the biggest culprit. So I'm not bagging on anybody. For years, I did no physical activity and ate whatever I want. And so I understand how hard it is to break that cycle. And just as it's a positive feedback loop that with negative consequences that gets you into that position, there's a positive feedback loop that can help you get out of it. Because once you break that and past that tipping point of breaking that addiction, you start to get out in the sun for 5 minutes a day. You start to get a little bit more vitamin D. That helps your testosterone levels, drops your estrogen levels. That gives you more energy, gives you more motivation, and everything starts to feed on itself.
You're unrolling that snowball. You're bringing it back.
Yeah.
So it's really funny. In my journey, it kind of started with fitness. I had a lot of aches and pains. My hip was killing me. My back was hurting. I had shoulder problems. I was literally falling apart in my 30s. It was nuts. And I went to the chiropractor. He's like, "You're gonna need to work out." And I was like, "For real?" I was like, "I can't move weights." So I started off just with the lightest weights in the gym. I didn't care what I looked like. I wanted to feel better.
Yeah.
And it was that little thing. I just did one little thing. And the biggest mistake I ever see people do is they do everything at one time.
Yeah.
They do fasting and running and jumping on trampoline and all
Burn
these
out.
things. All you have to do is just change just a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll help you so much. And I started this transformation, and it really was. It was a swap. I did like you. It was a recomp.
Yeah.
It was a body recomposition. And I trained, it was really nuts. It's really cool to watch it. And I really want y'all to experience, because I know if you look at Joe, he's got some cuts going on, man. He's gained some weight, and it's really some muscle. It's good weight. So when you start seeing that in the mirror, your jawline starts to show up and these cuts go on. Well, and it builds your confidence. It builds your confidence, and you feel better. If you feel bad, you do not want to do any investing.
Yep.
You don't have the energy, literally, to do what you're supposed to be doing. So I got my body into shape, and it gave me such a power that I was like, I want to learn rent houses. And I did. And I started buying them like crazy. I figured that out. It's one more thing I put on the list that I can do. I can get in shape whenever I want to. I can rein it in, tighten up.
Yep.
Now I can do the rent house thing all I want. I got a video all about that if y'all are interested. And where have you noticed it in your investing? Your fitness, how did it correlate? Did everything get better?
Yeah, so to me, the biggest thing came down to the habits thing, because figuring out how to break a habit, especially a destructive one, is just a game changer. So before, you have all these triggers, like you see something, that trigger, like a cupcake. The trigger then prompts a craving for that cupcake. The response then is to eat it, and then the reward is the sugar rush and the dopamine and the satiation and the high that you get from that. And so you have to rewire your brain, because these are literal neural pathways that have been driven into your brain that cause these habits, and you don't even realize that you've got this cycle going on. And so when you see, your trigger is going to stay there. So you have to then create a new path with a new habit cycle. And so the trigger of seeing a cupcake, literally every time I see something like that I don't want to eat, whether it's cupcake or ice cream, the word poison pops into my head. Because I trained myself, every time I looked at it and I wanted it, I just said poison, that's poison, that's poison. And so now, when I see something, I get trigger because I see it. The response is to say the word poison, and then the reward that I get from that is I think about my progress, and sounds very vain, but like looking at myself in the mirror and noticing the accomplishments. And so figuring out how to rewire habits, game changer.
There's nothing wrong with a little vanity. I mean, you've got to be proud of what you look like. You've got to be, God didn't design us to walk around with big old bellies and little skinny arms and be able to do nothing. And that's something, bodybuilders, you'll never see me on stage with my shirt off and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know, this is really interesting, and I know this talk is going to help somebody, because when I started to get in shape, I listened to everybody that had something to say. Legitimate, somebody that had changed their life or whatever. And I also listened to the hardcore bodybuilders, because they were really good at manipulating their body. Think about it.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to do something, learn from the best. Right. I learned a ton from them, and I know I talk about it all the time. If you're not logging your food, I have to log my food, because I have a crazy appetite. My metabolism I manipulate it so much, I can eat 3,000 calories a day and still lose fat. He doesn't log his food, but he gets away with it because he eats so strict. His food is so good for his body. It's like calories take care of themselves. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really neat thing, that if you can do it, look at his video and what he did. I'll put a link to that video in the description as well. And if you're not watching Hersey Financial, you're really missing out. I'll put the link to his channel in the description below, and I'll pin it in the comments.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, and thank you for coming on. Later.